Yo, how's it going, everybody? Chadley here, and in today's Cyberpunk video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 5 things that I would really like to see added to Cyberpunk. Now, do not get me wrong, these are not like 5 things that this game needs to have or I'm going to hate it, because I actually love this game. I've been having an absolute blast playing Cyberpunk. These are just some things I would love to see added along its life cycle, and I think it would just really add to the experience. There's also way more than just these 5 things that would be really cool to see added. These are just 5 that I think would be really, really cool and add the most. I'm also curious to see what kind of things you guys would like to see added to the game, so definitely leave it as a comment down below. Also, if you guys do enjoy this video and you want to subscribe, make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. But otherwise, let's go ahead and jump right into this video. So the first thing that I would really like to see added to Cyberpunk would just be more customization options. So that would be like a barber, a tattoo parlor, or just in general more of the special clothing sets. I think there's only like 3 I think I've seen in the game, and one of them you just get from doing one of the main story missions, and that is like the bandages. Otherwise, there's this hazmat suit, and then I think a netrunner suit, and I think that is it. Those are the only ones I've found. I would really like to see more of those because I do think that like overall puts together your character a lot better than just trying to match all of these different pieces of gear. You can definitely do that. That's what I've been trying to do, and I'm actually fairly happy with how my character is looking right now for the most part. But I would really like to see more clothing sets. And then obviously, say like you went to a Ripper Doc, maybe they could do some tattoos, but obviously a dedicated tattoo parlor or the different barbershops would be really nice to see as well. So the second thing I would really like to see added to Cyberpunk would just be more bosses. So when you get to the later levels and you start getting a lot of your skill trees and you guys start getting better gear, the combat really isn't all that difficult. I play on very hard and it's still not that much of a challenge. Occasionally if I mess up, I will get like one shot, but it's really not that hard to not mess up. So it's just super easy to do the combat in this game, and the bosses can actually be challenging. There were a couple during like the main story that were definitely pretty fun and fairly challenging. So I would like to see that, especially in areas like this. I'm just kind of going down this like dungeon-esque type area, and I would love for there to be like a respawnable boss down here in addition to these enemies. And then these bosses could drop like different blueprints or legendaries. Maybe even if it's difficult enough, maybe drop some iconics. So if you guys missed out on certain iconics as you went through the story, maybe you could have another chance to get them instead of doing a whole new playthrough. Like there's this iconic knife. I think it's the only iconic knife in the game. I cannot get it because I actually missed the side quest for it that eventually goes away if you progress through kind of the main side quest far enough. So that part did kind of suck, and I would love another chance at getting that iconic knife. But yeah, overall, just having bosses and more difficult enemies I think would help this game a ton, especially for the later levels. So the third thing I would really love to be added to Cyberpunk would be helicopters. So as I'm running around the city and I'm just looking up at all these buildings, it's really no way to get up there. There's maybe a way to get up on some of them through like double jumping and such, but for the most part, it is next to impossible to get on top of these buildings. And I think it would just be a really cool end game goal if for say like $1 million, you could buy yourself a helicopter. It would make getting around this city a lot cooler just because this game doesn't have any loading screens. So it would just be really nice for exploration. And overall, I just think it would make the experience of Cyberpunk much more thrilling and just a lot more fun. So hopefully that could be something we could see in the near future. So the fourth thing I would really like to see added to Cyberpunk would be some sort of faction system. So for example, during the Pan Am quest line, I would really like to see like a reputation go up with the Aldecados, but then say for all of the other nomad clans, my reputation would go down. So then if I did happen to see those different clans as I went through the desert and they saw me, they would like automatically attack me if my reputation was like a certain level with them. And then for say the Aldecados, I would get more some sort of like buying capabilities. I would get more items to be able to buy from their different vendors. And I think overall it would just make the Cyberpunk experience a lot better, considering this game's all about choices, and I just think having those options would just add so much to it. The same thing could be done for the different corporations. Say you could do different missions to help the different corporations. And then say for street gangs inside of Night City, those enemies are more likely to attack you, or vice versa. I think it would just offer a ton of replayability to the game because you can try different things for different playthroughs, and overall it would just be a great experience. So the fifth and final thing I would really like to see added to Cyberpunk would be more attachments and mods for our weapons. So for attachments wise, there's really only scopes and muzzles, and not even all guns get muzzles. I think basically all of them get scopes that you can swap out, but it's really only these two. I would really like them to add some sort of magazines so you guys can have quicker reloads or bigger mags, and obviously there's gonna be trade-offs for each, but you get the idea, just more customization there. Also some sort of like underbarrel system. So for example, if you had a rifle, you could maybe throw a bayonet underneath your barrel, because if we take a peek at our reflexes, we are obviously kind of spec'd into some rifle stuff, and then also blade stuff. So the bayonet is obviously a blade. You could have these two trees working in tandem with just one weapon, as long as you have that specific attachment. I just think that would offer a ton of versatility to the game. And then second, with the mods portion, there's really not too many mods, and they're basically all just kind of increased damage. Like we have increased headshot damage, flat damage, crit damage, there's crit chance, and then there's kind of like weaken enemies and some recoil stuff. But that's basically it for the most part. And then something I would really like to see added in the mods terms would be the different weapons in the game have different damage types, and I would really like to see these elements matter a little bit more than just pairing it against a certain weakness and then occasionally afflicting a dot to an enemy. I would really like to see it, say you had a shock revolver or whatever weapon. If you had a mod geared towards the shock, if you had it equipped, your shock could chain to nearby enemies, or say if you're using a thermal and you had the one designated for the thermal damage type, the enemy would explode when they're ignited. And I just think that would be a really cool addition and give these different elements on the guns a little bit more weight. Yeah, that's our 5 additions that I'd personally really like to see added to Cyberpunk. If you guys have anything else that you'd really like to see added, make sure you leave it as a comment. I'm going to be reading through a ton of those. But hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on it to let me know. It really helps me out. Also consider subscribing for more Cyberpunk content. But hopefully I'll catch you guys over on Twitch. I've been gone this weekend, but now I'm back and we're going to be streaming all the time. So hopefully I'll see you guys over there right around 8 p.m. Eastern time. But I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See ya.